in the fields of battle, they called him the Metal Knight. The name came not only from his flawless steel armor, which he wore like a second skin, but from his cold and impenetrable nature in the heat of battle. He fought like an unfeeling machine, adding every victory to his legacy and claiming every honor. But beneath that polished shell, in the absolute silence of his helm, there existed a vast and cold void that no spoils of war or fame could ever fill. He had come to believe that only one thing could fill this emptiness: a fortune beyond imagination. The legend of the boundless hoard, imprisoned deep within a sorceress's castle, was planted like a seed in his mind, a living treasure that replenished itself, a sea of gold that would never run dry. This was no longer a mere goal. It was his only path to salvation. The Metal Knight alone embarked on a journey motivated not by honor, but by a pure, burning avarice. The castle was a living, malevolent entity. Its corridors were filled with tempting whispers, promising mountains of gold, and the shadows on the walls danced in the shape of jewels. The air was heavy, with the scent of cold metal and ancient greed. But the Metal Knight's will was forged of steel. He broke through every illusion and deceit, for no phantom could compete with the splendor of the treasure he had built in his own mind. Finally, he reached the main hall and froze at the threshold, transfixed. What he saw was beyond any legend. It was not a room full of treasure, but a landscape of wealth. A silent sea of gold coins stretched to the horizon, and from the ceiling hung constellations of diamonds and rubies, casting a cold, eternal light upon the lifeless vista. A voice that seemed to emanate from the glitter of the jewels themselves spoke. "You have come for it as well, Metal Knight." Atop the highest mound of gold sat the Sorceress. She was no monster, but a woman whose beauty seemed frozen in time. Her eyes, however, held the weariness of 1,000 years of imprisonment. The Metal Knight raised his sword, its tip pointed at the woman. "I have come to take what is mine." The Sorceress let out a soft laugh. "This treasure cannot be taken, for it cannot be had. It is a power, an eternal current, and every current needs a heart to give it a pulse." She descended from her throne, walking across the coins with a sound like small, sorrowful chimes. "I have been the heart of this hoard, but my spirit has grown weary. This fortune needs a new, hungry will, a will that is hard and unbreakable, like yours." She stood before the knight and made the offer that would seal his fate. "You can become the master of this treasure, not just its owner, but the thing itself. Bind your soul to the heart of this hoard. Let your will be what makes it pulse for eternity, and in return, you shall rule over it forever." In these words, the Metal Knight heard the pinnacle of power. To become the eternal master of this wealth was the ultimate conquest. He, whose entire identity was defined by his metal shell, embraced the idea of becoming one with something timeless. With a firm voice, he said, "I accept." The sorceress pointed to a glowing golden orb at the center of the sea of coins. Then seal your pact with the heart of the horde. The knight stepped forward and placed his steel gauntlet on the orb's cold, pulsing surface. In that instant, an explosive light filled the hall. A sensation of burning cold pulled his spirit from his body. His armor, now without a host, collapsed, piece by piece, onto the mountain of coins, with a final sound of emptiness. When the light subsided, the sorceress vanished like smoke on the wind, tasting freedom for the first time in centuries. Within the hall, the spirit of the metal knight remained, a disembodied and invisible consciousness. He could now feel every coin, see the glitter of every jewel from within, and sense the weight of all that wealth upon his very soul. He had achieved his ultimate goal. He had become the master of the treasure, an eternal soul, ruling over a boundless fortune, yet forever imprisoned in a cage of gold.